to say it.
What do you do my work?
Your big intro that you like to do.
It's a big intro coming up.
Are you ready for Wednesday?
Wednesday?
Yeah.
When I do my plastic
Your
surgery.
transformation.
People don't tell anybody, but they're going to get a whole facelift and everything.
I'm just telling them you're getting a transformation.
And nobody knows because they let the cameras in. It's a big camera shoot. Oh my God.
Nobody knows, but you're telling everybody.
Yeah, but it's not live. Here's the other thing. Nobody watches the first 30 seconds anyway.
You don't want people to know that you're getting a facelift? Why?
I want to see if they recognize this. Like, oh my God, is that his younger brother? Did Mark have a child? Is that? Oh my God!
Did Mark have a child?
And then when I kiss you,
the
then
brother thing will work.
Yolanda cheating on Mark, some young guy. Is that Mark McConaughey? Mark McConaughey?
Matthew McConaughey. Is that Matthew McConaughey?
It's Mark McConaughey.
Oh, Mark McConaughey.
All right, let me get ready to do my big intro.
All right, Mark's gonna. I don't know. I still don't know why he needs an intro, but for a Mark and Yolanda show, he needs an intro. Okay.
It's big. It's big. It's a big deal.
Okay, go ahead.
How do you want to be introduced?
You come up with the idea because this is your concept.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Studio 53. We're brought to you live from Yolanda Martinez-Uzick. She is one of the world's greatest cooks. She just got Chef of the Year. She just won on Cake Boss $25,000 for baking the world's largest cake. It tasted banana cream was in it. In addition to that, she just made chicken in a bag, and she's with you here now, getting ready to go live. Look at the smile on her face and her beautiful white teeth. Give it up for Yolanda. Music. Give it up. Give it up. Clap for yourself. Clap for yourself.
Clap for myself. You need to have like the sound going in around me with the clapping.
Okay.
We need sound effects.
All right, I'm going to introduce Gaylon now. And then you introduce me.
No, introduce yourself, and then we'll do a big intro for Gaylon also. So come on. Go ahead. Right. It's your thing.
For me now?
Yeah, of course. Right. You need the intro. I don't.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, he's live in Las Vegas. Not northern, not southern, not central. He's on the east coast, the side where all the horses live. He's brought to you not only
all the horses live.
We live on a horse thing.
We don't have any horses.
Doesn't matter. We could if we wanted to.
No.
We could if we wanted to. You've probably seen him do live seminars. You probably heard him on all kinds of Zoom calls. He's the podcast king. He's what it is to bring smiles to your face and peace in your heart. The one and only Mark Uzick. Oh, wait. I got to introduce Gaylon now.
Oh, now I got to introduce Gaylon. Okay, what are you going to say?
Gaylon, are you ready? He's backstage right now.
He's backstage.
Yeah, I'm ready. Are you sure, Gaylon? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you probably got his upcoming tour coming on. The preacher, the stripper, the hypnotist. He is one of those three. We're not sure how he's dressed today, but you'll have to figure it out. All the way to Chicago. Go up for Gaylon McDowell.
Hello, everyone. That was fantastic, Mark.
Oh, that wasn't me doing the intro. We
had a special guest doing an intro.
Yeah. It was Kevin Hart that did that. Thanks, Kevin.
I thought it was Flavor Flav. No.
He doesn't live here.
Oh my God!
Wow. Do you remember Flavor Flav?
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Do you remember the blonde girl named Pumpkin?
With that season one, I didn't see.
He was the one that spit on New York.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Remember that scene?
Yes.
Yeah, I used to. I've been friends with her for years, and I actually hired her to go on the road and be my assistant because the fairs would pay for her to be my assistant. I was like, I can get a free assistant. I've known her since she was like 12 years old in Bakersfield, and it's so funny. It's like Brooke.
Yeah. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yes, I understand.
So we got the tour coming up, the preacher, the hypnotist, and the stripper. Which one are you today?
Which one are you today?
I'm clearly the preacher. So
Well, I've seen you do the hypnosis, and I did see some of your dance moves. So I would like to clarify and verify before I assume and just guess.
Which one are you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty much. I can be all of them.
Absolutely. I'll follow your lead.
If it wasn't for my dance moves, I could be a dancer. If it wasn't for my body, I could probably be a better stripper. But I can't dance, can't have a decent body, so I'll stick with the hypnosis for a while.
We're going to let Marcus walk in his lane. We'll make sure Marcus does.
Oh, yeah, we'll let Marcus keep his title.
That's right. That's right. I still give him a hard time.
He's more buff than both of us.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, when he found out we're getting ready to do another seminar, he started working out because he didn't want me to outdo him in those push-ups. He goes, I'll never let that happen again. I still give him a hard time about that. He's in Canada building a big old resort right now so we can start doing seminars out of there.
Oh, that's
And it's
great.
called,
Great.
yeah, it's
What's it going to be called?
the one area is called Heavenly because it's so peaceful up there.
Okay.
So it's really cool. Yeah.
I think I saw him put a picture of something on Facebook. He was in some place that looked like it was a farm. Maybe that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is. So we had the privilege of meeting you a while ago, what, a year and a half ago. And then all of a sudden we did our live event. You come out to a live event and there was the main star, which was you, and then the rest of us.
Well, you know, when I saw your presentation at one of those events I attended, I was like, man, something about him I like, outside of the fact that you were exceptionally effective in what you do. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to that event. And I'm glad that I did. And I feel as though that, you know, it helped us develop what I feel will be a friendship going forward. I invited you on my show, on my podcast, Truth Transforms. And, you know, even one of my staff members that works for me at the church, you know, Crystal, she reached out to me. She's like, you got to have him back on the show. I was like, no problem. I'll get him back on the show because you're practical. And the thing about it is when you're doing practical work that helps people transform their lives, I'm all for it because that's what I'm about. And, you know, it takes one to know one. And I definitely appreciate the work that you're doing in the world.
Well, it's funny because we do a 2.5 day event, you know, and this was from all cultures, races, religion, beliefs, whatever it was, you know. And this was the very first time when we got together. And you remember the second day at lunch, I said, we all all come together here. Would you mind if preacher would come up here and bless it? But we got more compliments on that. And I remember the one lady, the Muslim lady, constantly goes, I am so grateful you did that. I wanted to ask you if you could bless the food and all that. And it was perfect. And I had so many people come up to me saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it didn't matter what, it's the way you did it. It was the most beautiful, connecting way of giving everybody a reason, a desire to have a belief and to follow what's really out there in their heart. And I never did that before. And you were such go along with everything. I mean, you look at Marcus's life, you know, here's a guy that's an old stripper that transformed his life. And it's funny. I mean, when you think about it, we all have past and we get to be influenced by people like you into the future. And how we became this trio is kind of interesting, kind of neat, you know. And everybody still talks about that event. But hey, do you ever talk to Preacher Man anymore?
Well, that's what you kept calling him. That's how you referred to him.
Well, everybody who didn't love you, everybody loved you, you know. It's never, you never judge. We would say something, and you know, and we turn around and go, "Uh-oh, we're gonna get in trouble over this." I remember. Off the hook. I'm like, "Whoo, that was a close one." And then Marcus gets the idea because he didn't tell me what he was going to do. He says, "I'm just going to shock Mark and you know Gaylon," and like they wouldn't tell me what he saw that. I just started laughing. And it's so funny. People ask us to this day, "Hey, are you really going to do that?" Could be. Who knows? You know.
Totally open to
message
it.
is
Totally
there.
open to it.
Oh my God! Well, I think I've been on your show more than Marcus, right?
Yes, you have.
You want to stay one ahead of him. It's not a competition, but if you're leading, you don't want to get behind either.
But you're going to make it a competition.
It's never a competition unless he goes ahead of me.
No problem. And you know, without a doubt, anytime you got something going on that you need to let the world know about, consider this a freestanding offer to come on my show to let people know about it.
And,
Awesome.
and vice versa. So, okay, so you're a preacher man. You're a different kind of preacher man. You're the preacher man that doesn't judge. You're the preacher man that accepts. You're the preacher man that leads. You're the preacher man that comes from your heart, and you're the preacher man that wants to see it from other people's sides, so you can understand how they do things. So, how did you even get involved in the ministry? I mean, were you born into it?
Well, it's kind of funny. You know, I was actually I come from what you would call two sides of life. You know, my mother's side of life. My mom was very spiritual, but she was eclectic. She studied a lot of things. Her mother and father were from Mississippi, and they had the hardcore fundamentalist, I would call it sanctified. People would now call it evangelical Pentecostal.
Okay.
When we were growing up in the Black community, we called that sanctified. And you know, where, you know, you didn't do anything. My grandmother didn't go to the show. She didn't drink. She didn't curse. She didn't like nothing. No R&B, no rock and roll.
Yeah.
Serious. Whereas my dad and his side of the family were looser. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
So I had both worlds. And basically what ended up happening was really kind of weird, Mark and Yolanda. I remember it was around the holidays, maybe 1992, around the holidays, Thanksgiving. And my mother was cooking, and my room was next to the kitchen. Now, I didn't decide to go to college after school, after high school. I decided to go into the workforce. So I was working. And so I'm home. When I got home, she's like, hey, put this tape on in your stereo. I want to listen to it while I cook. I was like, okay, sure. Put it on my stereo. It was a church service of where I now am the executive minister, which is kind of funny. And it was Les Brown.
Oh my gosh.
Now, here's the thing. What a lot of people don't know is Les Brown is actually an ordained minister from my church. Who left the ministry to go into the motivational speaking world. So he would always come back to speak at that church, Christ Universal Temple in Chicago. So there's this tape that and it's called The Courage to Live Your Dreams, Part 2.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, when I heard it, it was a light bulb moment. And so I was like, Mom, can I keep this tape? And I would listen to it over and over again. I said, well, do you have anything else? And then she let me hear another person who had just started speaking at the church. He wasn't affiliated, but he was a guest. And his name was, or is, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. He was the person who took Napoleon Hill's manuscript that he was writing for African Americans and put it out, finished the work called Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. And then she let me hear the person who actually founded the church was a woman named Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman, who taught Christian metaphysics and a better living version of spirituality. It was practical spirituality for better living. So to make a long story short, I'm listening to these tapes. I show up. In January, I started going to class, and I end up in a situation, Mark, where I never thought I would end up. I thought I had a chest cold, and my grandmother told me to put some Vicks Vapor Rub on my chest.
Right.
To a party. I went to Tom Joyner, who was a very popular African-American radio disc jockey. He was having a retirement party from traveling back and forth. But anyway, so I put it on, I come home, and I couldn't breathe. I mean, to the point to where it was ridiculous. I couldn't breathe. I get to my mother drives me to the hospital, and
so this was a serious deal. You really couldn't breathe.
No, I couldn't breathe. They said if I'd have got there 10 minutes later, I would have been dead.
Ooh.
That's how much I couldn't breathe. And when they tested my lung capacity, they give you something you're supposed to blow. And you're supposed to be able to blow in multiple inches.
Yeah.
I couldn't blow it more than a quarter inch.
Oh my gosh.
So, but I'm in the hospital, and I've just got exposed to this, consciousness transformation, metaphysical thinking, spirituality. And I can remember the doctor told me that the Vicks Vapor Rub activated a dormant asthma that I never had.
Activated it?
Yeah.
It activated it.
It did opposite.
Exactly. It activated something that was dormant. I never had an asthma attack in my whole life. And the first one almost took me out. So I'm in the hospital, and I'm debating with the doctor. Do you have asthma? No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. All of the things. I'm 20 years old.
Well, you knew it all back then.
Yeah. and my mother is pacing back and forth. And I had grabbed some books that I bought from the church for a class I was going to take. And as my mother's pacing back and forth, I remember saying to my mother, and I'm her baby, and I said, you know, Ma, with oxygen and stuff on my chest and everything, so according to these books, I don't have to have this if I don't want it. And that started my journey.
The asthma.
The asthma, okay.
Asthma. I don't have to have this asthma. So when I was in the hospital for 5 days, I got out. I had to stay home for another 2 weeks. That's how strong the damage was, or how severe it was, rather. And when I got out, I went to the class. I learned about spiritual principles. I learned about my conscious and subconscious mind. I learned about affirmations and visualization. I learned about meditation. I learned how to create a system around healing my body.
Yes.
And so I got out of the house. That was late January. Started the classes February. Probably by May, I don't have any symptoms. Wow. You know, I was on 2 inhalers and pills. And I remember going for my last checkup. And I used to didn't tell the story because people only hear this last part and they don't hear, you know, the part that got me here.
Yeah.
I remember going to the doctor and for my last checkup with the specialist for your lungs. And he told me, well, everything checks out well, but because of the damage that was done, you have to keep the 2 inhalers and the pills. And I told this to you on my show, Mark. I don't know if you remember that I went home, I prayed about it. The next day I had a conversation with my mother and I said, you know, Mom, I believe I'm healed. And I'm gonna prove that this truth works or I'm not gonna be here. And I threw the pills and the inhalers in the garbage in front of her.
Hopefully she didn't empty the garbage that night.
I don't know if she did or didn't. She's not here for me to ask, but that was my step. So for me, I got engrossed in seeking to understand how spirituality works. How does the mind work? How does your spirituality and your mind affect your body? And so I was reading 3 to 5 books a week. I was listening, you know, remember the old Walkmans?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
And I would, you know, walking down the street, walking with it. I changed the way I thought. I changed the way I talked. I changed what I exposed myself to. I changed what I would listen to. I mean, I submerged myself in understanding universal principles because I knew if I could understand what these people are writing in these books, I could demonstrate it. And that became my goal. So I tell people all the time that almost dying from asthma was the best thing that ever happened to me.
It was the best thing that happened to thousands and thousands and thousands of other people.
Yes.
Because you're only here for one reason. And that reason is what you're doing is serving, you know.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? We should have you and Les on the same one. Next time, I'm going to ask Les to come on and have you as a guest, a special guest without him knowing it.
He would love that. I love Les. I love Les. We're still friends to this day. I absolutely love Les. I can't tell you how much because for me, even when I didn't know him initially, that tape, just listening to it while I'm going through what I was going through, I had that tape and I would just listen to it. And then when he would show up at the church, I made sure he knew who I was eventually. I was like, you know, the church is pretty big. And, you know, before we went to we have 3,000 seats now. Before then, it was more because we had pews.
Yeah.
And it was hard to even walk up on him because it was so many people. But I was dogged and determined. So I you know, after I got my healing, I got into classes to learn how to become a licensed teacher. Then I got into ministerial training, became a licensed and ordained minister. I was asked to come work for the church. I was working in the grocery business and management. And I was just dogged and determined to just help as many people as I could with what I was learning. And that's been my story. I've been teaching, you know, the official term is called New Thought or New Thought Christianity or Christian metaphysics. I've been teaching New Thought since 1996.
Wow. Did you want a water? I'm going to grab a water real fast. You want one? There you go. You got it? Okay.
Yeah, I also got some naked juice in here. So because I use the word naked, you can tell Marcus.
I'm going to do one with all 3 of us. I've got to get
you got to get Marcus on here too. We'll have to get up. Yeah, we'll get the stripper, the hypnotist, and the preacher on Conversations with Mark and Yolanda.
We won't tell him you're going to be on. We'll just be you, because he won't see in the background, and then we'll click on there. And then I'll just ask him simple question again. Who did more one-handed push-ups?
And then I want to interview all three of you.
Yes, that sounds like a plan. Definitely.
So you help a lot of people, don't you? I mean, as far as teaching them conscious transformation and all that. What is it that you really like to teach people? I mean,
I focus on a few.
You're a teacher too.
Yeah, I focus on a few fundamental things, but I came up with this concept a couple of years ago, a term that I like to use now. I was speaking to some students from Columbia College in downtown Chicago, and they were asking, I was being interviewed about different religions and their concepts of human beings. And I said to them, most religions will tell you that there's something wrong with you.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And then that they have the only remedy or the only medicine.
Right or wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, my position is this. I believe there's something radically right about you, and I'm here to help you discover it.
Wow.
That's my message. That there's something radically right about the human being, that we have inner potentials. We have the possibility to create and manifest the goodness of God or the goodness of the universe or the goodness of life, whatever the term is comfortable for you, into manifestation. It's necessary for us to recognize that our self-image, our self-esteem, our self-awareness is dictated by beliefs, as you would tell people with the subconscious mind training. What we've been taught in the past about who we are and our connection to wholeness. So I already believe that I'm whole. I believe you're whole. I believe every individual I meet is already whole. There's nothing broken about them. But the primary cause of suffering is forgetfulness. If I've forgotten who I am, if I don't know who I am, then I can't express what it is that I'm seeking to do. That's why I love movies like The Matrix or The Bourne Identity. People don't know who they are, and they are awakening to who they are. So what I seek to do is through teaching universal principles, through teaching people how to work with their minds, through teaching people to challenge the theologies that they've been taught throughout their lifetime or the lifetimes of multiple generations, that you don't have to accept what has been presented to you. You have a mind. You're already whole. And once you recognize your wholeness, you can then start to work towards expressing that inner good in a way that helps not only yourself, but helps make the world a better place and a world that works for everybody. Because that makes a difference to me. I believe in making a world that works for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's it in a nutshell. Now, if we want to start talking about some of the other things like consciousness or your awareness producing or manifesting as your world,
intuition, things like that.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Or getting rid of what I call the smackdown God,
religions out.
The smackdown guy, checking the list, checking it twice, trying to find out who's been naughty or nice. I think that we need to evolve our theological thinking, our philosophical thinking, and when we evolve those thoughts, then we can start dealing with people not based upon religion, creed, color, nationality, and all these other things that we deal with. But until we deal with those issues, it's hard to see people just as people, because we have all of these barriers that we put up in front of each other, so we can't deal with each other authentically. We deal with our concept of that individual or concepts based upon how many check marks are checked. Gary Zukov says this best. I love Gary Zukov. He talks about how when you walk into a room, you automatically start looking for people who are familiar, who are like you. Okay. So if I walk in the room, how many guys are in the room? How many guys my age? How many guys that are black? How many guys are economic as based upon my perception? And what that does is now that doesn't allow me automatically, that doesn't to authentically relate to you as a human being. When I can honor who I am in its fullness, and I can honor who you are in all your fullness. We don't have to be color blind, but we can be color honoring. We can be We don't have to be gender blind, but we can be gender honoring. But we just put too many barriers up. So what I seek to do is to challenge beliefs in a very strong way, sometimes in an uncomfortable way,
Right.
just because it helps us get back to the authentic self, where there's something radically right about you before somebody, whether it was a parent, a grandparent, a family member, a politician, or a clergyman, or whoever told you there was something wrong about you.
Yeah. Well, it's right, wrong. It's, it's control. I think they want to control so they have a bigger community, so they can say, look how big we are. We must be right if we're this big. And they get significant from that. And then it goes to their head sometimes, I mean, my background, I was 12 years old. I was out of the house,
Yeah.
And I went to this cult type of deal, and they know it's a cult. It's good. It's the greatest thing ever happened to me, though. And then I became the man I am because of that. If I hadn't gone through that experience, and it was great. I had such a great time and learned a lot. Just talked to my best friend about that. And I said, I would never redo it again. I'd want to go back because I learned so much. And that's why I became the person I needed to become in order to be able to serve the way I'm serving. And if I hadn't gone through that, where would I be?
Yeah. Mark, what's interesting when you start talking about belief systems, I never forget. I'm one of the very first ministers I know that I personally know that actually helped perform a same gender wedding.
Uh-huh.
So I remember one of the young ladies called me the day of because they weren't necessarily happy with her being a lesbian, but they were like, okay, now you're about to get God's wrath because you're about to go too far and get married. And she called me and said, well, what do I say to them? They're Pentecostal and they're quoting scripture to me. And I said, okay, you want an answer? She said, yes. I said, tell them, so what? And she was like, well, I can't tell them so what. I'm like, why not? So what? And I hear, I'm not devaluing anybody's position. What I'm saying is this. You even having that argument at that level of the argument validates that they're standing in a position of authority over your life. It's your life. And you get to choose who you love. And if none of them agree with it, then, as my grandmother used to tell me, some people you got to love with a long handled spoon. And that meant from a distance.
That's right.
So that don't mean you don't love them because they're walking in their way. They believe what they believe. And they've been conditioned to believe that way. They think that their conditioned belief in their subconscious mind is God's absolute truth.
Right.
And the warping of scripture without culture helps support it. So, when I told her, so what? It freed her.
Yeah.
So what? Just so what? And if some people, and you might have people who are listening, be like, that guy's being blasphemous right now. I'm being easy. I'm actually way worse than this.
Yeah. Well, maybe she was gay because it wasn't her sin. It was the people judging to see if she'd love and accept the way God would love and accept you. Maybe she was chosen to be that person as a test for other people to see if they would stand up and love her the way God loves her.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Here's what I do know. So what?
Yeah.
Because, here's what I'm present to. Yet again, I believe every human being is divine. I believe every human being is whole. I believe every human being brings something of value. And I also know that I don't have to think in a way that people 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago believed and worshiped for me to have a relationship with what I consider the holy or the divine now. And I think that what ends up happening is personal experience is taken away and people don't want you to challenge them. They don't want you to ask questions. They don't want you to make them think about what they do. So, for instance, because I represent New Thought in ministry, I have people from time to time challenge me on things. Now, I know my stuff, Mark and Yolanda, like for real.
Yeah.
I know my stuff, including like mainstream biblical scholarship. I know how to do metaphysical and mystical biblical interpretation. I'm like the whole shebang. So I was like, no, let's not talk about what I teach. Let's talk about what you teach. That's generally understood. I'm not even going to argue my position. Why do you believe what you believe?
Yeah.
And,
Right.
you know, and then by the time you start just hitting them with facts, not mysticism, not metaphysical theory, not somebody's personal revelation, but just things that we can prove factually. It helps them deconstruct what they thought was absolute. And I think it's necessary, in my opinion. And I can say this because I'm a part of the religious world. We can be a little bit too cocky.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So so it is what it is. So no, I challenge people. Right down to the cosmology. The world was created in 7 days. I don't know if you all want to get this heavy into the theology on this show, but I challenge people. Okay, well, it was 2 creations of human beings, one in chapter 1, another one in chapter 2. Chapter 2 and 3 is 500 years older than chapter 1. Like, all this stuff is true. Like, Adam and Eve had 2 sons, and all of a sudden Cain kills Abel, and then Cain leaves and go finds a wife. Where does woman come from? Like why are you taking this literally? Like, why?
That is so true, though.
Yeah. But those are the things that we have to think about.
How do you teach someone intuition?
So what I tell people is this.
She's got good questions. I don't know where they're coming from. They're inspiring, aren't they? It's like they just come down from the Lord.
So intuition, I believe, is an inner wisdom, an inner GPS system. I jokingly call it God's planning system. And the way I teach people to follow their intuitions, first of all, start paying attention to the moments where you said, something told me. My first mind, I had a gut feeling, not to go, not to trust or do something. Those are the moments that when you pay attention, when you follow them, they were consistently right. And when you didn't follow it, you were consistently wrong.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Second thing, you have to give yourself time to be with you. I believe intuition is a function of spirit. That's my personal belief.
Yep.
Therefore, to learn, you have to learn about any person, for instance, you have to be intimate with that person. It's an intimacy. You have to spend time with the person to know a person. Well, you have to spend time with yourself. Yes. Turn the TV off. Put the phone down. Turn the radio off. And spend time with your own contemplation. Spend time, maybe you're doing some type of prayer work, visualization work, subconscious mind training, whatever that might be. And start paying attention to what comes up. What comes up as an inspiration? What comes up as an aha moment? What comes up to do something that you normally wouldn't do? And see how it connects. Start paying attention to it.
Yeah.
See, what ends up happening now, obviously with me, that means for me, what I do is I normally read something that just kind of pulls my mind where I need it to be, something inspirational, and then I'll do some affirmations.
Right.
And then I'll still myself in some type of meditative contemplation. And then I write down what I get. And I'm at the point now where I don't care where I am. I will stop and write down anything that I consider an intuitive hit. I put it in my phone, in my iPhone, in my notes. If I'm driving, I call my office and I leave myself voicemails. And I can't miss it. And every time I follow through on it, I get an idea about, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should contact this person, whatever. Every time I do it, it works. Every time I don't do it, I don't get the results I want. So this is something that's very practical. I don't want people thinking that, oh, this is so mystical, this is so heavenly, that it's no earthly good. You have an internal guidance system that if you follow it, will consistently guide you into right action. But you have to recognize it's not going to shout over your mental noise. So the reason why you slow down, the reason why you contemplate, the reason why you calm the body, the reason why you breathe and relax is so your mind can slow down enough so you can hear it over the mental noise.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. You know, I mean, I teach the subconscious, and I've never heard it said like that. It's so true. When you're saying it's like, you are dead on. You are so right. Stop.
I am a firm believer on following your gut, because I always get, and he'll know what I'm talking about. When we used to go four-wheeling in Colorado, they would want to do all these big, huge bolts, and I would always get a vision. As he's talking about it, I would have a vision of, if I did that, here are the 3 things that could happen. And there were always things where I would end up getting hurt. And so I would be like, no, I'm not going to be doing that with you. So you crazy fools, go do it. Whoever flips over with it, good luck. But the time that I didn't follow my gut was the time that we went and I hurt my chin. Remember? Because
nope, don't remember that.
I did have the vision that I was going to get hurt somehow, and I didn't listen to my.
But we fixed you up.
Yeah,
also.
we fixed you up. No, you didn't fix me up.
The heck
but
we did.
I have always been, even when I was little, when I was a teenager, I have always followed that gut feeling of, if something didn't feel right, I didn't do it. And the times that I didn't follow my gut, like you said, I didn't get the results.
Even in business.
And so I am a firm believer in that. If you follow your gut, you're going to get the result that you want. And it could be that whether it's telling you not to do it or to move forward and do it.
That's
so right. What you're saying, it like totally resonates in me into saying, okay, now you need to calm down, listen to what you're being told, and connect the two, which is your heart, your gut, and your mind, into feeling good about what decision you're going to make. And
Yolanda, what's kind of funny to me, being a person who works in the religious world, in ministry, let me just call it what it is, in ministry, is the people that I've met who have the strongest intuition are normally always women.
Yeah, always.
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 However, somehow ministry is mainly led by men. It's the craziest thing to me. And I'm not saying that women have a higher capacity of intuition, but I think women have learned to by necessity, to learn to follow it. No, he looks okay, but something's not right. Let me not go. Let me, you learn to navigate a little bit differently. So what I tell people, as I teach the process from a metaphysical standpoint, I call it revelation, realization, manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that people get the revelation. That's the intuitive hit. That's the inspiration. That's the divine idea. That's the revelation. But until that revelation turns into a realization, in other words, a knowing, where it's real to you, it can't manifest. People try to go from revelation to manifestation, and they miss or skip a step, and then they become frustrated. I'm sure you all have heard people say in your seminars or workshops, I know that God or the universe or whatever showed it to me. I'm clear about it. How come it's not in my life? They're trying to skip over realization. They got the revelation. They don't have the realization, which produces the manifestation. Because when the way I teach it is when the conscious and subconscious mind come together in complete agreement, in alignment, that's the realization. Now you're at knowing. Versus this is something that has been shown to me or revealed to me, yet I don't have a knowing. Or in religious talk, we'll say something like, I don't have it in faith. I don't have it yet. Until it's yours, then you can't do anything with it. It's something that I believe that the revelation shows up to help guide you into the individual that can have that manifestation. So what I'll tell people in my classes is The dream isn't for the now you, it's for the potential you.
Yes. Wow.
I remember men have to be shouted out. Women just have to be whispered to. And there's only 2 times in my life. Do you ever get a feeling like this could end up really bad, like death is about you? It's only happened twice in my life. And I remember this one time, I was on the Legion Air flight. And I've been in planes where the airbags are dropped and not really, I mean, that's just the way it is, you know. And I remember we were on the ground in Springfield, Missouri, near Branson, Missouri. And this was when I was with, before he landed with Tina. And I just kind of resting on something. I jumped up, my body jerked. And I'm like, this plane ain't going to make it. They're still loading passengers. I go, something ain't right. I'm telling you, this plane ain't going to make it. And my body started heating up. My heart started pounding. And I'm thinking, man, I better start praying now because I'm going to come visit you. And it's just a few minutes, you know. I never forgot that. And they were getting ready to close the door. They closed the door, and I'm freaking out inside. Never said anything. And then they make an announcement. We have a problem with the landing gear. It's stuck. If we take off, we won't be able to land. So we're going to have to ground the plane until tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I knew it. And the other time was my.
You didn't say anything?
I was freaking out, man.
No, I would have been like, give me my luggage. I'm getting off the plane. I changed my mind. I don't want to travel.
You start to think, you know, well, women, that's women. Men want to handle them. Maybe it's just my head, you know. I wasn't drinking nothing. Maybe I need a drink. That's what it's telling me. That's what it is. And the other time I was driving from Las Vegas to Grand Junction. And my nephew, we just got done. He's Native American Indian. So the idea is if you ever see an owl, that means there's death. Death to happen or going to occur. You don't want to see an owl, a live owl, you know. And I'm driving and I'm getting kind of tired. And I thought, man, I only got 80 more miles to go. I can make it to Grand Junction. And I was one of those, you know, like, I'll just keep myself awake. It wasn't a minute later, an owl flew into my windshield and then flew off. And it freaked me out. I mean, my heart pounded again. It's the second time it pounded like that. And I look up and there's a sign that says rest area 5 miles. And I thought I got 2 choices. Either rest for a moment or forever. I pulled that car over so fast, Gaylon. I was like, man, that's the only, and I never forgot those 2 times. And that was years ago. Years ago. And that's how strong it was, you know. Yeah. Women are like, hey, like, I get it. No, men are like, you know, you got to get whacked around a few times, you know. And then you finally figure it out, you know.
You gotta slap you around.
Well, Mark, you know, my teacher and mentor, Reverend Coleman, used to always say that nobody wants to pay the ticket when it's time. And if you don't learn the lesson that you're supposed to learn, she would use the analogy that you will be a grown man still sitting in that 2nd grade chair. Yeah. And after a while, the chair will start to get tighter and tighter. It'll become uncomfortable. And she used that analogy to say, when you don't get the lessons that you're supposed to get when you're supposed to get them, the next time will be more painful. And then the next time will even be more painful, and so on and so on. So now you're a person who, you know, to get the lesson now, you're 50 years old in a chair that was created for a 7-year-old. Of course, it's not supposed to be comfortable, but you won't evolve until you get that lesson. But nobody wants to pay the ticket when it's time.
Yeah. That's a fact. So when you talk about like praise and gratitude, man, how does that work, you know?
Well, you know, I like to use a little analogy. If you take the P off of praise, you get raised. Now, I didn't make that up, so I don't want to take credit for it. So I heard somebody say it years ago at church. But praise and thanksgiving are attitudes of mind that I believe help the mind function at a level above the conscious and subconscious. Now, in mystical language, they have a lot of terms for it. You'll hear things like Christ consciousness or super consciousness or higher awareness or right. You know, whatever the term people use, that's on them. You know, in the old Hebrew language, the secret place of the Most High. However, but I believe that as you praise, you lift your consciousness above what is mundane, and you put yourself in a higher spiritual or universal flow.
Right.
To be able to walk in what the world would call grace or the flow or in alignment with your truth. But to do it, it means that you start to put your mind on what it is that is good. And as you contemplate what is good, you condition your mind to start to rise above the conditioned beliefs that and experiences that you have. So in other words, to borrow a phrase from my good friend Jesus, he would say, judge not according to appearances, but judge righteous judgment. And people think that means don't deal with the issues. You're a supervisor, you got somebody stealing, you need to fire them, of course. But that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about, am I paying attention to the illness? Am I paying attention to the breakdown? Am I paying attention to the lack of money? Am I paying attention to the family drama? Or will I allow myself through praise and thanksgiving and having an attitude of gratitude to place my awareness, my consciousness, my thinking in a higher level of being that allows me to be a conduit through which these universal ideas and energies can flow and manifest or express in my life and into the lives of others. So praise is not just a tool just to say, let me massage God's ego or the universe's ego, because that's what people think. Let me use all these big words and scriptures, God, and I'm not presence and omniscience and omnipotence and all of. I sometimes upset my students when I say God doesn't speak English, and I use that as a metaphor to say it's not the language you're using, it's where your mind is. Yes. It's not if you're sitting cross-legged in meditation, it's where your mind is. So if my mind is in a state of gratitude, thanksgiving, and praise, what I'm actually doing is I am lifting up my thinking above the regular human things that touch people. So maybe because I'm in consciousness of praise, maybe the people at the airline catch that the landing gear doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe because I'm in a consciousness of praise, maybe I just missed a car accident. Maybe because I'm in a consciousness of praise, that person who got over on everybody else and tricked them, lied or stole from them, they didn't get me.
Right.
So the idea is to live above the things that would normally touch people. I'm a preacher, so sometimes I use ministerial concepts, but in Psalm 91, when it says 1,000 can fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but shall not come near you. That's talking about a consciousness of praise. So I consider a life that is in harmony the byproduct of a consciousness of praise, gratitude, and thanksgiving. Hopefully that made sense.
Man, you need to be a coach, dude. You need to start a coaching business or something.
Oh, I'm actually starting a coaching business.
Are you serious? So if somebody wants to coach you, what can they expect? I mean, think about. I want to be your first client.
I'm already winning then. Well, we're gonna talk about what's radically right about you first. We got to deal with the belief systems around you not being adequate or not having enough to do what you need to do. Then we put structure around it. You have to learn how to work with your intuition. You have to learn how to follow your inner guidance. You have to understand and learn principles of how the mind works. How do you discipline your mind to get the results you desire? What are the techniques? What are the tools? What are the principles you need to know and learn and understand so you can get what I consider demonstrable and let me rephrase that, preferred demonstrable results. In other words, people are always demonstrating. The issue is, are you getting desired demonstrations? So what I seek to do with my upcoming coaching business is to help people get desired results, desired demonstrations. Because people say, I'm sure you hear people say, oh, I just need to make a demonstration. I tell people you always are making demonstrations because life is consciousness. In other words, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I'm believing, and what I'm saying and what I'm doing is showing up as results. And if I want different results, that means that I have to have different beliefs. So I'm going right for the beliefs. I'm going hardcore towards them and then helping give people structure to be able to get the results they desire.
You're not massaging their story, you're creating something that's going to give them the results that they've desired that they haven't gotten before.
Right.
You're a results man. You're about results.
Yes.
How do people get a hold of you, Gaylon? I want to put it up on the screen there. I remember one time doing a radio show and I kept saying Gaylon. And I remember talking to, was it Crystal or somebody had called?
Yeah, it was Crystal. She works for me at the church. Yeah.
Okay. And I talked to somebody else and I said, you know, Gaylon, they go, well, Pastor McDowell. And I go, well, who's Pastor? Oh.
Well, you know,
casually
in that setting, that's who I am. In the coaching setting, then they're going to get Gaylon, who just happens to be a minister. But I'm not trying to push my theology off on anybody. What I'm seeking to be able to do is help people understand that I've had 25 years, 23, 24 years in high-level leadership and helping people. I've taught thousands of people. I've spoken at conferences around the world. Church growth, leadership, spiritual principles, prayer, prosperity, goal setting, visualization, everything you can think of, I've done it, and some stuff that you might not have ever heard of. I have experience in doing this. I'm not some Johnny come lately off the street saying, hey, I want to become a coach.
Right.
I have results. And I have a podcast that's been on every week for the last 8.5 years.
Is that the one I was on?
Yes. Truth transforms.
So how does somebody get a hold of you, Gaylon? If they go, I want to know more about Gaylon. I want to talk. They can talk to you, and you'll be as real as possible. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
They can tell you anything, and you're not going to judge them for their actions, behaviors, or their past. You're only there to influence their future to become a better person of who they already are.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna give you
a
couple of ways. Well, obviously, you can call the church and ask for me. Now, again, if you call the church and ask for me, you need to be asking for the coach me, not the minister me. That's
Amen.
Yeah, that's 773-568-2282. 773-568-2282. If a person wanted to email me, they can email me at gmcdowell, GMCDOWELL, at cutemple.org. gmcdowell at temple.org.
Now, I'm going to type all that in there. If I could type as fast as you could talk, I'd have had it done already.
What about a website?
So I'm in the process of getting my website back up. I took it down, and I'm in the process of getting that back up. So that should be up within the month. And so
what's the phone number?
I don't want to send somebody somewhere that they get a page that doesn't work.
What's your phone number?
The phone number is 773-568-2282. That's the call. That actually calls the corporation, and then my assistants will let me know that somebody's trying to get in contact with me.
Well, we only got 773 down.
773. 568-2282.
And your email. Okay.
There we go. Can we post this up there so
absolutely it's a
public
public
people that are watching can see it?
Absolutely.
We had more than 2 people on earlier.
We're going viral. We're up to 2 people now.
Oh no, G McDowell is GMC. Not take the A out, please.
Oh, MC. Okay, let me correct that then. All right, take that.
Can't you just adjust? Can't you correct it?
No, I can't.
And by the way, that's a lovely picture you all have together with that setup. That looks very nice.
Oh, the one in the background?
No, the one that you just had. You had a picture of you and Yolanda.
Oh yes,
that
was in Paris.
With my information.
So
that was Paris.
Yeah.
That was in Paris.
GMCDOWELL.
Yes.
Okay. At CU Temple.
.org.
.org.
And the phone number is 773-568.
2282.
2282. And we're going to post that bad boy on there.
No problem. So what? This is live on Facebook as well right now.
This is going to 5 different channels. We hope to hit 683,000 people as our goal, but we'll probably get about 50 people. We're working on
the thing. Well, I'll put it on my Facebook page, and I also have a Facebook page for my podcast called.
There you go. I shared it on
with Reverend Gaylon McDowell. I'll post this on there.
He's got it on his YouTube channel. It's on his Facebook page, his fan page, my personal,
and our conversations
with Mark and Yolanda page.
So people watch it. There'll be several hundred people, up to a couple thousand, watching this interview, contacting you. We want to make sure that they can get to you somehow.
Absolutely.
You know, you're not just talking about religion.
No, it's got nothing to do with religion. It's about faith,
and you're not preaching about your beliefs and trying to force it on somebody else. You are talking in general of how our mind works in what we choose to believe in. The only thing we have to do is we have to learn to respect the beliefs of each other in order to be able to communicate with each other and be comfortable to talk about these topics that people don't feel comfortable talking about.
Yeah.
With
what's
religion
funny?
and politics,
Yeah. Well, what's funny about it, Yolanda, is I believe that you can't have war outside unless you have war inside.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, the fact that I'm having a conversation where I potentially am starting from the standpoint of irritation.
Yeah.
That means that's really only thing that's really happening is my own belief systems, my belief system, and the beliefs in my belief systems are being challenged. I have a perception, I have a paradigm, I have a context that I believe is my identity, but it's not. It's false. It's created. It was generated through a lifetime of experiences. People teaching you things and you going through things and making up a story about them. So I can't, I have friends who are Muslim. I have friends that are Buddhist. I have friends that say, hey, I don't do this God thing at all. And I respect it. I respect all of them. And I can still navigate. If I go into my own neighborhood, I come from one of those neighborhoods where everybody knew everybody. We knew each other's parents and grandparents. It was a well-established, middle-class African-American neighborhood. We all knew everybody knows everybody. I can go to the old neighborhood right now, and everybody respects me. Everybody still loves me. I can laugh and joke. We can reminisce. We can talk about my preacher days and everything, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to impose upon them, because I'm not trying to convince, convert, or coerce anybody. I live my truth.
Yeah.
That's right.
I live my truth. And when something shows up that is inconsistent with my truth, I disengage without devaluing the other individual.
Right. Right. As a coach, you have to see it from everybody's point of view, because you can't coach them if you're only right and they're always wrong.
Right. So for me, I'm not invested in making people wrong.
Yeah.
What I want to do is be in a space that allows us to communicate in a way that says, okay, even if we disagree, we can disagree without being disagreeable.
Yeah.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that, I'm very progressive. I believe in change that needs to happen and all of those things. However, I'm not going to lose myself in the process of it. This is for Mark, because he used to be in seminary. There's a statement that Jesus says that's taken out of context. He says, what good is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? But the word soul in Jesus's language of Aramaic means self.
Yes.
What good is it for a person to gain what they say they want and lose themselves getting it? How often have we devalued ourselves to get something that we want? How often have we devalued ourselves to be around people who are not necessarily for our highest good? How often have we devalued or broke or compromised our integrity to get the money, to get the position, to get the business, to get the person? What good is it if I have to lose myself in the process? It's not worth it.
No.
Nope. That's a fact. That
true.
is so dead on. That's what I loved about having you at the last event. It was so powerful, to see everybody come together like that. That's the first time we did lunch, learn, and contribution, and we gave the check for part of the lunches to the children for, cure for cancer for life in for kids.
Here in Vegas.
Gaylon, you should have seen the gratitude they had. I mean, they were like, it seemed like we gave them $1 million. Like,
Yeah.
they ain't giving that much. I said, yeah, but it's the fact that you gave. And it's what's going to mean, and that's where Chris Angel gives a lot, Gwen Stefani gives a lot. So it's a very, very tight community, and it's all donation, and it all goes, none of it goes to staff, it goes to the family. So it's all 100% of it.
Yeah.
And then built in, and they get 10%. It's a real deal. That's what I loved about it. And we still get messages that say, thank you for the donation. I go, how do you not want to give to that?
Right.
Be part of that,
Right.
And nobody was turned away.
Right.
And that would walk up to us, Gaylon, and go, hey, I don't know if everybody could afford it, and they'd slip us $100 here. I want to pay for something. I want to pay for something. It's like, we didn't ask for that. And then you got to see who people really are.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it to brag. They did it because they had the opportunity to do the right thing.
Yeah. And I think it's a reflection of the two of you, because that's who you drew to yourself. Quality is going to attract quality. And I'm not devaluing human beings when I say it, but I'm a big believer that it's sort of like if you have a radio station and it's 102.7 and you're at 102.8, you can still hear the song, but it's static.
Yeah.
You all function from such a place of love and grace and harmony that what you radiate, you attract back to you. So you drew me, Mark. You too, Yolanda. I know what's really happening. I know what's really going on.
We're hypnotizing you.
Yeah.
Out of all the thousands of people we've performed in front of and millions of we've done shows in front of, there's a handful that we keep in touch with and talk about, and you're one of them. I still remember we were driving down the road, and we went to the Date Festival. We were going down this little tiny road, and we drove off, and we got the message about the situation you were, and I just got off a phone with you 3 days before about you having a loss in your family. And it was like, I just talked to Gaylon.
Yeah.
And it struck a nerve to say gratitude. I said, Yolanda, we are so grateful. We wanted to be his friend, but we don't know. We don't know when's your last meal. When is your last trip? You do what you're supposed to do, and when it's your time, it's your time. We never know. So we always got.
Yeah, and you have to make peace with those things. As you all know, my cousin was murdered, and
for no reason.
Yeah, for no reason. He was visiting another friend. Some people were shooting up, and he was in the house. The bullet went through the window. He was sitting there on the couch, got hit, fell and died. And being in a space to where you still maintain your peace, still maintain your strength. Nobody's been caught, nobody's been arrested. Even now, that was 2 days before Memorial Day. Yeah. But you still have to be able to go forward in grace. Yes. And say, okay, am I going to allow this situation that I don't like, that I didn't want to happen, that was very difficult for my family, and I can't even imagine what my auntie is going through and my little cousins, his children. However, we still have to be able to go forward with grace. Yes. Even when it's hard. I always tell people, it's easy to talk about what you'll do when everything is working right. But when life gives you the sucker punch, where will you stand?
That's
what will you do? What type of person will you show up as in the midst of drama and trauma? And I choose, regardless of the situation, to always show up authentically from the standpoint of I'm a whole being and nothing can add to it and nothing can take it away from it, even when it's painful. Yeah. I'm still whole, always. And I hope to be that space for my loved ones and the people who I've had the blessing of teaching in ministry and going forward with coaching or speaking. And if people want to watch me, by the way, preach, I have a ton of sermons on YouTube. Just check them out. They're really good.
Well, we got a big trip coming up, and I think we're coming through Chicago. We're going to have to check you out and make sure you do a good job in that pulpit, brother.
I was preaching yesterday, and I was getting to my point, and I was preaching so hard, the power in the neighborhood cut off. I told people that was my anointing. So we had to wait 15 minutes for the power to come back on to continue the service because it's all night strong.
Well, I do love the name of your radio program, The Truth Transforms.
Yeah, truth transforms.
I love that. I mean, my idea for my podcast is, let's face it.
Yeah.
And every day it's going to be something different. Let's face the fact that you're not always open to talk about X, Y, and Z. Let's face it, because people are not, especially right now with everything that's going on with this pandemic. Everyone is so focused on only happening to them that they don't realize that it's happening to everyone.
Yes.
And the judgment on whether people wear a mask or choose not to wear a mask, whether people choose to not stay home or travel. It's everybody has a choice. As long as it's not affecting you personally, why are you judging that person?
But, yeah, I think one of the challenges that comes into play is this is where I think being able to have calm conversations matter, because people have passionate positions that they're ready to kill people over.
Oh, yeah.
And what I tell people is this is my soft answer. Literally, it's my soft answer. If it works for you, great. If not, great. I tell people, you can have your own truth. You don't get to have your own facts. Okay. And the reason why I say that is this. Okay, it might be a fact that this situation, whatever, you walk in your truth. Let's be responsible to do what we need to do as citizens to make sure that we're taking care of each other.
Exactly.
Because you don't get to have your own facts. So, and that's my nuanced way of communicating with people in love. Because if they know that I'm coming from a space of love and not from a position of attacking someone, then we can have a conversation. But the moment I put my hands up, you have to put your hands up. And now it's a battle instead of us trying to figure out what can we do to help take care of each other. You know, like that old analogy that people say, when people go to heaven, the spoons are too long. Have you ever heard of that?
Nope.
Okay, so basically, it's this story where a person says, well, they got a glimpse of heaven, and when they got there, it was a gigantic table and it was food across them, but the forks or the spoons were exceptionally long, and so the people were asking the angels, how can people eat with these gigantic forks? And the story says, oh, you got it wrong. You're supposed to take the food from the person across the table from you and feed them.
Oh.
That's for heaven. Heaven isn't about, it's about me. Heaven is about, it's about the other individual.
Yeah.
And if you come from that space, then you can find the wiggle room to create a world that works for everybody. But let me feed my brother. Let me feed my sister first.
That's right.
I love that. That is so cool.
So, yeah,
you can totally use that, Mark. I somebody years ago.
Oh, he will. He's going to find the opportunity to use that analogy. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with us.
On your day off.
Yeah, on your day off.
I got a good massage today, too. It was really
awesome.
That's why we're an hour later.
That's right.
We wanted to make sure. We don't want you rushing. We want to make sure you're feeling good.
Yeah.
Well, we'd love to do this again in the future. So, definitely we will be in touch, and we'll
share this with other people.
We'll keep you posted on anything that we do as far, as events. And I know we were talking about doing something virtually for the Total Transformation group. So we're in talks about that. So we'll keep you posted on that, and keep talking and keep staying in contact so that we can do this again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I look forward to it. And I know that we're supposed to be together. I believe that with my whole heart.
Yes, we are, and yes, we will continue this, because we come through to Chicago, we're going to come see you.
That's right.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, brother.
All right.
Appreciate you. Hopefully, we get all this shared, and everybody does watch parties and all that good stuff. Share it on yours, and let's keep touching lives and making a difference.
All right. God bless you
Have
both.
a good rest of the day off.
Thank you. I will do. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Oh, well,
Wow.
that's a gentleman that we got the chance to meet at our seminar the last
Yeah.
time. What a true gentleman he really is, you know. I would love for you to just give him a call and chat with him for 10, 15 minutes, see if he can be of what service he will be able to help you with, because I know there's something out there.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to change anybody. He wants to just influence you to be the best person you already are, get rid of pain, and give you some graces to grow. So check him out. You can call him at 773-568-2282, or go to his email.
Send him an email.
Yep.
If there's something that you need help with, dealing with. I know that there's, people have dealt with, family members dying, family members being sick, anything that you've been going through during this pandemic that you haven't.
And good things.
Well, and good things too, but I'm saying if there's something that he can help you with, spiritually and emotionally to help you get through it, I think he would be a great person to get in touch with.
Oh, he's awesome.
To put you at ease with that.
He's a nut. He's a good in a good way. He's a good nut. So share this video with other people. We'll be back on Wednesday. I go under the big.
Oh, that's right.
The big old nut.
He's going through a midlife crisis.
See this? All this? See
What
this?
are you gonna do with all that?
It's gonna be gone.
That's all gonna be gone.
Yeah, you're gonna see this look like.
What's it gonna look like? You're gonna look like you're scared. You're gonna look like somebody poked you in the ribs.
That's not fucking right.
That looks
was
like
you.
that looks. That is not you.
Yeah,
That looks like you
Rivers.
got startled. That looks like you got.
You do that.
That looks like
There
you
it goes.
woke up and somebody poked you in the ribs and you weren't quite
Yeah,
awake yet.
it looks like.
No, I'm
Make the
ticklish.
face. Go there.
I'm ticklish. That's not startled. Yes, I'm ticklish. Do not do it.
I'm not gonna.
Do not do it.
I'm not gonna tickle you. Let go of my hands.
Anyway, we'll see you on Wednesday at Mark's Total Transformation appointment.
Bang.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what his
Hey, go to our website.
what his midlife crisis is going
Don't I have a
to showcase.
20-minute consultation? People want to talk to me about 20 minutes. They can book it online now.
Yeah, you have it
Look
set
at
up.
that. You
Don't
just
you?
got it set up. Yeah, absolutely.
Where can they go?
Don't have a clue.
I will post it because obviously he doesn't have a clue on what he set up to have consultations with you. But anyway, thank you for joining us. Share this video. If there's someone in your life that needs to hear this message, share it.
And if there's somebody you don't like, that you didn't like the message, share it and kick them off.
No, don't listen to him.
Hey, go
It's a great message.
Hypnotist Mark, and then you can look at my shows.
Hypnotist Smart.
Oh, yeah, on Facebook.
Oh yeah, on Facebook for
Hypnotist Mark
your fan
Music.
page,
Yeah.
yes, and then Vimeo if you want to stream more videos.
It'd be nice if they would.
Get some good laughs.
Got the rent due, baby girl. Got the rent due.
Share them with your family.
We could use the $10.
Anyway, we will see you on Wednesday at Mark's Total Transformation. I don't know what that's going to be. We will both experience it together.
See ya.
All right. Have a good day.